Hello and welcome to Just a Moment. My name is Kristen Harding. Welcome to the show. I am on location today. We are in a wonderful little hotel room in Kansas somewhere. On our way home to Minnesota on a road trip. How fun, right? And so that is why, unfortunately, our show is a little delayed today. But I do have some fun things to announce. So before we get started, let's do our blessing, shall we? So I did not have time because I literally just got into the hotel room to shuffle. So we're going to do it together. And today's card is the same one from last week. Isn't that cool? Well, let's try it again. I guess the same message, hey? Okay, here's a new one. A blessing on a journey. And the other one that came out, a blessing to find the truth. So let's try the blessing to find the truth first. And that is a blessing to discover the truth in a situation so you can make choices with full awareness. A blessing on this time and on you so that the truth can be told and thus pour down upon you its unique freedoms. May you be blessed with knowing the truth of your own soul and let the transformative powers of truth bring to you the light so that what was once obscured now begins to shine, and what was uncertain now becomes defined, sure, glittering in its certainty. Let the blessings of truth be your liberty now, for with truth there is the growth of wings that lift you up and beyond the current burdens that have kept you grounded. Let the speaking of the truth bring you comfort. Let the open-hearted honesty of it cure any confusion. And let the conviction of your new knowledge bring you the rewards you are so dearly due. Let those who know you, who hear you, be healed by the contact with the purity of your words and yourself. And let no one be in any doubt as to the worth of your words and the quality of your character. There is no need to be anything except your own blessed, perfect, honest, and open self. Revealed to you now is the truth of others, their motives laid bare, without adornment or manipulation. Let the lamp of truth shine into all that was dark and unknown, both within and without, and let the words you have longed to speak fall freely and without concern from your lips. Truth shall bless you, and you shall bless others when you show by example the glorious simplicity of living within the power of your own truth. Live the truth of your soul, and may the souls that share the truth be blessed forever. Blessed be. Okay, and then the second one was a blessing on your journey. And that one is strangely appropriate because we're on a journey. So let's see, a blessing on your time away from home and on the road. A blessing on the in-betweens, the liminal space and the borderlands that you will inhabit. May the road you take be blessed as you begin this journey into the unknown. For while you may have plans and a map and a compass to guide you, there is so much that will surprise and amaze you. May the leaving of home be done with ease, knowing it will be safe until you return to its shelter once more. May you experience the joy of anticipation. Let the moment of embarkation be a great thrill. When you take flight or board ship or car or whatever vehicle it is that will see you safely across the miles, let there be elation. May you encounter kindness upon the road. strangers who show the very best of themselves, and may there be hospitality and delightful turns of good luck, serendipitous meetings, and quiet moments too, so you can fully absorb the adventures of each day. May the adventurous spirit within you be delighted by your wanderings, and may you relish to the full each day upon the strange road that you are traveling. May the purpose of the journey be blessed, whether you leave excited or reluctant. May whatever trip it is you take be fulfilled in its spirit, and may the days fill themselves with future memories that will feed your soul for years to come. May the skies shine down on you. May the plans you made be exceeded by their reality. May all go more than well for you. And when it comes time to return home, traveler, may your home open up its arms and take you in, and maybe there be friends with whom to tell the tales of the road and share the gifts that you have returned with. Arrive home safely, enriched with discovery, inspired and open hearted, and full of love for this world that we dwell within, for it's wondrous, and this you have found to be the truth. Blessed be. Alrighty, as I said, we are starting a brand new book. Same author, but I'm really finding that I enjoy the way that Elizabeth April writes, and I enjoy hearing her perspective. So I do always ask that you take what I say with a grain of salt and remember that this is only for entertainment purposes only. If it resonates, great. If not, it's not for you. That's fine. Just keep scrolling. All right, let's get started, shall we? First, I'm going to say thank you to everyone who's joining me today. And if you are watching me on the rerun, we do not mind that at all. We just appreciate the message going out. So, oh, Paul's here and he says hello, hello. He's actually right across there. But fortunately, we're not getting too much feedback. And we have a few surprises later on, but we'll get to that in a little bit. First, I want to get started with the book. So, your anxiety is giving me anxiety. I'm not kidding. That is the name of the book. How appropriate, huh? In this time of anxiety to have a book about anxiety? Okay, so let's just get started. Well, the first is praise for it, so we're not going to read that. And then the second is the title page says, Your anxiety is giving me anxiety. A survival training guide for thriving in a high stress world. So it says, To every soul who ever saw me, heard me, and reflected my own curiosities, thank you. Your love and support gave me the courage to speak when silence felt safer. And to the reader holding these pages, may you find your voice, trust its power, and never be afraid to use it. The world needs to hear what only you can say. And then we have the chapter headers. Introduction, welcome, disclaimer, and my anxiety. Hey, anxiety ally. You're here because you feel stuck. I get it. I really do. Like me, you've probably tried it all. Therapy, self-help books, and maybe even medication. Yet no matter what you do, anxiety keeps showing up and clinging to you like an unwelcome shadow. Trust me when I say this. I've been right there with you. That struggle, that relentless search for relief is exactly what inspired this book. It can feel overwhelming, right? Everyone seems to have an opinion about anxiety, what causes it, and how to fix it, but no one ever seems to have the whole picture. What is anxiety really? Where does it come from? Why does it seem to be everywhere, affecting so many of us more than ever before? And most importantly, what can we do practically and realistically to ease its grip in our lives? This book is my attempt to answer those questions and give you so much more. It's a deep dive into understanding anxiety, not as some abstract concept, but as a very real, very personal experience. As someone who's lived with anxiety for most of my life, I wrote this book for me, for the part of me that was desperate for clarity, for answers, for something that actually worked. And if what I've discovered along the way can help you too, then that's the greatest gift of all. Because you're not alone in this. And together we can take the first steps towards something better, something freer. So let's dive in. Some of you picked up this book because you know who I am and you trust me and you believe in the value I offer. Others of you have no idea who I am. Maybe this book was gifted to you. Maybe it popped up on Amazon during a late night anxiety search, or maybe you walked past it in a bookstore and felt drawn to it. Whatever the reason, I'm glad that you're here. And since we're about to go on this journey together, let me introduce myself. My name is Elizabeth April. I'm 32 while writing this, but I feel much older than that. Ever since I was a kid, I have been able to perceive things that most people can't. Even at a young age, I could feel people's emotions as if they were my very own. I could see energy fields around people, communicate with spirits, and experience things that existed beyond the physical. At night, I would leave my body and fly throughout my house. I didn't know that this wasn't normal for most people. But while my extrasensory abilities gave me a deep connection to the unseen, they also gave me something else: anxiety. I didn't have the words for it back then, but I can remember moments that were early signs of what I would later come to understand as panic attacks and obsessive thinking, common symptoms of chronic anxiety. For instance, one of my earliest memories of my anxiety is from when I was around 6 years old. I was obsessed with my beanie babies. I had my own names for them, I dressed them up, and took them everywhere. One day, I was sitting in the passenger seat of our maroon minivan, enjoying the gentle breeze from the outside touching my face. I was holding my favorite little beanie baby, a little cat, when suddenly I had a vivid thought. What if I throw it out the window? It was just a passing idea. I saw myself doing it. The image flashed through my mind like a memory that hadn't happened yet. I was so horrified that I immediately rolled up the window and held onto my beanie baby as tightly as I could, terrified that my own hand would betray me. At age 6, I didn't have the awareness to question why my brain would conjure up that thought, or whether it would actually happen. I just knew I had to grip onto that little cat for dear life. Looking back, I can say that that moment was a perfect storm of separation anxiety and intrusive thoughts. But at the time, I didn't know that. My parents didn't know that. And like so many other kids, I just carried on, completely unequipped to understand what was happening inside my own mind. And my parents, though they meant well, couldn't really help me either. Side note: when a new concept is introduced, I'll slide a definition in so that we're all on the same page. Keep in mind that these are my own definitions and related to the context of this book. If you want to read up on all the definitions, head to the back of the book where I've included a handy glossary for you. Chronic anxiety: persistent, long-term anxiety caused by suppressed emotions, unresolved past trauma, or ongoing emotional overwhelm. Energy vibration frequency: the subtle energetic state or vibe that you emit or resonate with, influenced by thoughts, emotions, and surroundings. Extrasensory abilities: the ability to tap into energy or information that exists beyond the physical realm. Reality, not a fixed, objective experience, but a fluid construct shaped by perception encompassing all that we see and more. Intuition, The direct knowing that transcends logic and reasoning, acting as a bridge between higher consciousness and the physical mind. Hyper awareness, an intense sensitivity to subtle changes in your surroundings or emotions, often leading to anxiety. As I got older, my anxiety evolved. When I was younger, I openly shared what I saw and felt, not realizing that other people didn't experience the world the way that I did. But by the time I was 10, I started to recognize that my experiences weren't normal. Other kids didn't see what I saw. They didn't see energy or leave their bodies at night. So, in an attempt to fit in, I shut it all down. I buried my abilities and disconnected from the part of me that saw beyond this reality. At first, letting go of the weirdness was a relief. Life felt simple. I played sports, made friends, and focused on the physical world. But no matter how hard I tried to be normal, it always felt like there was something missing. That missing feeling grew into restlessness, and by my teenage years, that restlessness turned into full blown rebellion. I was an angry, anxious, and questioning everything teen. I remember being 16 and thinking, if life is just school, debt, marriage, kids, 9 to 5 until retirement, count me out. That existence just felt like prison. But somehow everyone else seemed fine with it. So I started looking for answers. Sorry about that. All of a sudden, I just needed to mute it for a second because there was extra noise. So where was I? Oh yes. I have included a glossary. Got the yeah, did that. If life is good school, I want out. So I started looking for answers. I asked my teachers, my friends, my parents, even a priest. What's the point of all of this? No one seemed to have an answer. Just vague responses and blank stares. That only made my anxiety worse. Until one day my dad, who'd been always open minded about my experiences, told me he was trained in past life regression and asked if I wanted to try it. At that point, I was willing to try anything. That session changed everything. In just an hour and a half, I saw several of my past lives. In one, I had been a Mayan priest who could leave his body and travel the universe. In another, I was a Greek seer, giving the messages about the future. I also witnessed a life where I was a healer who died trying to save others. It blew my mind. It also showed me that my deep craving for answers wasn't just some teenage existential crisis. It was my mission. That realization gave me purpose. I then went off to university, double majoring in political science and communications. I wanted to be a politician or a lawyer or someone who I thought could create real change. But before I left home, I took Dad's past life regression notes with me. I started offering regressions to random students in my dorm, asking if they believed in reincarnation. If they were curious, I'd guide them through their past lives. That's how I started seeing clients. Looking back, I was reckless. I had no formal training, just intuition, but it somehow worked. Through these sessions, I started to see patterns in trauma, healing, and life lessons. And in the process, my childhood abilities started coming back. Clairvoyance, mediumship, remote viewing, it all reawakened. And so did my anxiety. All of a sudden, I could feel everyone's energy again. It was overwhelming. I had spent years training myself to blend in, but now I could barely function in public. Crowded spaces felt suffocating. My thoughts became a relentless cycle of overanalysis and hyper-awareness. I had spent my whole life searching for answers, but the more I uncovered, the more anxious I became. Still at 18, I decided that instead of resisting my abilities, I was going to embrace them. My curiosities took me in so many directions: consciousnesses, quantum physics, and the nature of reality itself. Over the years, I've explored some of life's biggest questions. Who are we? Why are we here? And what's the meaning of it all? 42. I can confidently say that after more than a decade of searching, I know next to nothing. The universe is vast. The mysteries are infinite. But I do know one thing: we can't evolve if we're trapped in an anxious loop inside our own minds. So, no, I did not go on to become a politician or a lawyer. I'm also not a mental health professional. I learned long ago that real change doesn't happen from inside the system, it happens outside of it. And yes, I have many books to write: books about past lives, quantum physics, and the nature of consciousness. I didn't see this book coming, but I listened to the signs, and right now, this is what is needed in the world. Not only have the ideas in this book helped me to be better and to understand and navigate my own anxious experiences, but working with thousands of clients from all over the world has given me the validation that this approach, while unconventional, actually works. If you're here reading this, it probably means other approaches to managing anxiety haven't worked for you either. Good, because sometimes all we need is a different perspective, one that finally helps us to understand why we feel this way. That's how I learned to manage my anxiety, and that's exactly what I hope this book can do for you too. Why this book was why this book needed to be written. The year 2020 marked a tremendous trauma in human history, a trauma that affected every single person on the planet. As governments around the world mandated antisocial behavior, depression and anxiety surged. Years later, we are still coping with the aftermath of the lockdowns. Personally, I saw isolation as both a blessing and a curse. Of course, as social beings, we thrive and grow off exposure to others. As empathic beings, however, we can become overwhelmed and distracted by others around us. The events of 2020 forced us out of our current reality, locked us inside, and took us away from our 9 to 5s and brought us back into ourselves. Besides, there's only so much TikTok scrolling that you can do before deciding that you're over it. There was a huge spike in people wanting to heal themselves. There was also a huge spike in people experiencing existential crises. So, crises, I guess, would be the correct word. With so much extra time, everyone was forced to question their own happiness and purpose here on earth, just like I did at 16. Much of this questioning led people into a spiral of depression and hopelessness, not finding any answers to their questions. But those few who broke through that discomfort did indeed find answers, healed parts, and brought pieces of themselves back together. Empath, empathic being, a highly sensitive individual who absorbs and feels the emotions, energies, and frequencies of others, often beyond the physical realm. When we become whole again, we begin to live in a world that is very different from the one that we grew up in, a world where energy dictates all. and material possessions no longer hold their value. When energy becomes the main currency of life, it forces us to rethink everything. Instead of our daily interactions consisting mainly of going to work, being with the kids, paying the bills, mowing the lawn, waving to the neighbors, we become more focused on the interactions between the actions. The guilt that you may pick up on from the woman in the ice cream aisle of the grocery store, or the lingering anger from an earlier interaction emanating from the man checking you out, or even the stress of the drivers rushing back home after a long day of work. Every time we interact with the world around us, there's so much more going on that we can't see with our eyes. The more self aware and healed we become, the easier it is to observe these interactions. Basically, what I'm getting at is the more we heal, the more we feel. Now, that may sound like a great byproduct of the work that we've done on ourselves, but if we don't have all the tools needed in this new world, then we are left feeling it all without the ability to navigate through it. Therefore, once we are freed from the limitations of this physical reality, we somehow step into another prison, a prison of overwhelm, anxiety, and spiral. This book needed to be written because times are changing. We cannot observe a non physical phenomenon through a physical lens. It's like comparing apples to oranges. It just won't work. We have an entire generation looking for answers and coming up with dead ends. We have desperate parents wanting to help their children, but who are left feeling hopeless. We have professionals feeling stuck and limited by the current rhetoric on anxiety. We have old souls unable to progress through their mission because of crippling doubt and intrusive thoughts. Soul, an eternal, energetic being of consciousness that exists beyond the physical body, experiencing many lifetimes to evolve, learn, and expand its awareness. It's time to take back the narrative of anxiety and empower yourself with the information so that you can transform this elusive diagnosis into a superpower. Everything in this book is an open dialogue, and it is intended to spark awareness and change. If you're ready to take this leap with me, then I am ready to lead you into liberation. A new approach to anxiety. Let's be very clear. Again, I am not a therapist, psychologist, or traditionally educated in the field of mental health. I don't have a degree in this field hanging on my wall, nor do I have letters after my name. And yet, I feel no hesitation in writing this book. If anything, not having those credentials is exactly why I needed to write it. Traditional approaches to anxiety have failed me time and time again. I've learned through my own experience that anxiety cannot simply be cured with pharmaceuticals or even therapy. There's something deeper at play, something far more complex than what the current system is equipped to address. The experts themselves can't seem to agree. Does anxiety come from the nervous system, the brain, genetics, or the environment? Every source offers a different answer, leaving us with more questions than clarity. And while they continue to puzzle it out, rates of anxiety have skyrocketed to levels we've never seen before. Ironically, the sheer amount of information on anxiety is enough to send you straight into an anxious spiral, hence the title of the book. So I'm taking a different approach. In this book, I'll share what I believe anxiety truly is and where it comes from. More important, I'll present tangible solutions, one that you can integrate into your everyday life. The language will be simple and accessible. Every now and then, I may use a term like vibration. If that's a new concept for you and you want to better understand it, I recommend checking out the sidebars throughout this book as well as the glossary at the end. I'll also reference some psychological concepts throughout this book, not because I claim to be an expert in psychology, but because I believe in integrating different perspectives. I want to bridge the gap between Western science and Eastern wisdom, bringing together multiple schools of thought so that everyone can find something that resonates. I've always been a believer in balance. I don't subscribe fully to one side or the other. I see both perspectives and recognize that they must coexist as part of a whole. I believe in both holistic healing and Western medicine. But when it comes to anxiety, I feel called towards something new, something outside the established system. And this is where not having formal credentials works in my favor. I'm not bound by outdated research or constrained by a particular framework. I have no preconceived notions or agendas. Instead, I've become free to observe this growing phenomenon with an open mind and a curious heart. My only goal in writing this book is to offer real, practical solutions so that we no longer need to rely on a broken system for answers. As I always say, take what resonates and leave the rest. If something in these pages feels like truth to you, then it's meant for you. If it doesn't, that's okay too. My purpose here is not to convince you of anything, but to validate what you already know deep down and to give you the tools to act on it. At the end of the day, I am simply an anxiety sufferer searching for my own solutions. My hope is that my journey can help liberate others as well. I have no expectations for how this book will fit into your life, and I encourage you to hold the same open intention. Read with an open mind and an open heart. Know that you found this book for a reason. So let's begin. I'm actually at 33 minutes, and I said I was going to do a short show, because I've literally been on the road for, what is it now, sweetie? 3 days? 4 days? 3 days? In a car? Yeah, seeing all sorts of stuff. 1,200 miles. And very, very worth it. But we'll talk about that more next week. So, on that note, I would just like to say thank you all so much for joining me. Never forget that you are amazing, you are loved. Be well, be safe out there. Protect your peace, and I'll see you on the next show. I love you all. Bye.